Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Big Four podcast. My name is Luke Spring. I'm with the usual Brian, Nick, and Andrew. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm awesome.
No.
I'm
fine.
Yeah, Andrew's tired.
I'm
Nick,
also
you didn't say your
sleepy.
Yeah, okay, there you go. You didn't say your terrific. But as always, we are your number 2 source for all things sports. If you know, you know. We got a decent amount of things to talk about. We have the we do. Drummond is on the trading block.
We just don't have anything we really care to talk about, but we're going to talk about it because it's sports.
We're going to make stuff up because that's what we do. Drummond is on the trading block, so that's something to talk about. There's a little bit of buzz in the Deshaun Watson area, but first, we are going to talk about the trash can of a basketball team called the Boston Celtics.
Maine Red Claws.
What, Nick?
I need to apologize. Can I apologize? Okay, I'm going to apologize. All right, to our loyal less than 10 fans, I misled you last podcast. If you listened, I said that Harrison Barnes was on the Mavericks. He is on the Kings. He was on the Mavericks.
Oh no, that's awful.
You also said Adam Eaton was on the Nationals a couple podcasts ago, maybe about a month and a half ago. He's on the White Sox.
Why do you remember that?
What?
I don't know. I just did.
A couple podcasts ago? No,
like 2 months, maybe a month and a half.
What? Oh, well, I don't. Who cares?
Whatever.
This is Harrison Barnes, Brian. This is Harrison Barnes, not Adam Eaton. It's Harrison Barnes.
No respect to Adam Eaton.
I still also
friggin' Barnes. I messed up what team Harrison Barnes was on. He's on the Kings. Sorry, Harrison. Sorry, my viewers. He's on the Kings.
Okay, great.
He's on the Warriors.
All right, Harrison Barnes is on the Kings and not whoever you said.
Hopefully he's going to be a future.
I wasn't really paying attention, but yeah. Back to the trash can of a basketball team named the Boston Celtics. They are now 500, and the latest in the season, they've been 500 since, what was it, 16-17? I saw it yesterday. I think it was 16-17. But yeah, they're pretty bad. They are really bad. And we always say
they've been injured.
No,
they're still so bad.
They're so bad. No, and we always say how awesome that the Celtics are at sharing the ball and getting everyone involved, when in reality they suck at it. They are one of the biggest culprits of ISO basketball. They are a bottom 3 team in assists per game as a team. They don't share the ball at all, and they try to go one-on-one with everyone, with Brown and Tatum and Kemba. They don't share the ball that much. And we always think that they do and they get a lot of assists. No, they are a bottom 3 team. They're down there with, I think it's the Knicks and the Trailblazers. So, yeah, that's where the Celtics are right now.
Yeah, just to get up, they've been bad. But
really bad.
They were, Kemba's pretty bad.
Kemba sucks. Heart attack Kemba.
He's trying way too hard.
Yeah, he is.
He's trying really hard to get his own. He sees Tatum and Brown scoring 25 plus a game, and he's trying really hard to get his own. And I think he's trying a little bit too hard in terms,
because then there's games where he just easily drops 25, and you're like, oh, sweet Kemba. But then there's games where he's 1 for 14 with 2 points and 0 for 5 from the free throw line.
They're like, oh, Kemba.
I was like, oh.
And then
what happened, bud?
I also
see Terry Rozier out there in Charlotte dropping 44 points in a game.
It's really making me mad.
Terry.
Yeah, and Hayward's playing well, but
that's fine.
There's something. I mean,
Tatum
yesterday 6 points. That's really bad.
I don't know.
Really bad. Wait, what was he? Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, he had
bad.
3 for 14.
And
he's still averaging 27, so it's okay.
He got pulled like in the middle of the game by Brad because it was. I forgot what the sequence was, but I think he turned it over.
Back.
Then they got the ball back, but he wasn't running back, and then he turned it over again and just like stood at half court and just stopped like trying basically. It was so bizarre. That third quarter looked
I wasn't even watching.
awful.
I was watching golf. I had it on my laptop.
I was watching golf.
I had it on my laptop.
I was watching golf, but I don't care about Celtics. So it doesn't even matter.
I had it on my laptop, and like I'd glance over every once in a while. I was like, wow. They went from down 5 to down 10 to down 15.
And then you're like, oh, George Smith hit a fairway.
20.
Oh, my God.
And then I was like, wow, they're down 34 or whatever it got to.
They looked really, really bad. And
they were down 34?
Maybe 24.
Yeah, they were down. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that bad. But
26 might have been the highest.
To the Wizards, and then they lost the Pistons by a ton. I mean, it only ended up being
good teams.
It was only by 6, but still. And the issues the main issues, the first issue is they have stopped moving the ball. I mean, they did a good job of it earlier in the year. That's why they got a bunch of wins. But I feel like since Kemba's back, all three of them want to try to get theirs, and they try way too hard to go one-on-one. But the two blatantly obvious things are the bench scoring. They have 0. They have nothing in terms of bench scoring. Yeah, sure, Shemi had a nice game the other night, but other than that, true, he was a start of that game. So they have 0 bench scoring, for some reason, their defense has like sucked this year. They can't defend anyone. I feel like they are so focused on the offensive end that they have stopped playing defense. I mean, Kemba has never really been a good defender. He tries, but he's not a good defender because he's too small. Tatum is very inconsistent. He can be a very good defender
last year, but then he took a step back.
He's very inconsistent. Brown's Brown. He's that. And again, I get Smart's been out, so that kind of helps them defensively.
He holds them
hurts
together.
Them defensively.
He holds them together.
They don't have any intensity when Smart's not playing.
He holds them together. He's literally the reason people get mad at Smart. If that guy was gone, this team would be a below 500
They have no sense
team.
of urgency offensively.
He holds them together like nobody's business.
They don't get a spark.
Yeah.
He always
exactly.
likes a spark.
Just look at their record while he's been gone. That's a proven fact.
Yeah, it's been tough. They went on the West Coast trip and Brown missed 2 games. They had a game where their only guards were Tremont Waters and the worst basketball player in the league, Jeff Teague. Like they've had some tough spots where guys have had Waters played 30 minutes. That guy should never play more than 3. So they've had tough spots to try and win games. They've hung in basically every game. They haven't really been blown out. The only game they got blown out
this past Sunday was bad.
This was really the only game they've been blown out. There's no game. There's literally no. The next that was a while ago. That was Kemba's first game. That was ridiculous. But
he gets
in this 5-10 stretch that they're on or whatever crap record they have, they really haven't been blown out other than two times, which is encouraging. It's
encouraging, but you could also say it's concerning because we all think that Tatum's the guy. But if he's not getting it done down the stretch and they're 5-10 in close games,
not getting it done down the stretch. He's hit like 3 buzzer beaters and averaging 27. I don't think it's his fault.
He hit 2 buzzer beaters and then missed one by 5 feet, but it actually went in.
What? Oh, okay, whatever.
That's very true.
The Milwaukee game where he banked
first game of the year.
Oh yeah, that one.
That found its way into the hoop.
But
sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
They are not moving the ball as much as they should be, and it's not mainly on anyone, but it's on the bench guys, but it's also on Tatum, Brown, and Kemba for getting them open.
I think it's solely on Kemba because Tatum and Brown the last couple of games have each had like 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10 assists. They've been moving the ball, I think, fairly well, just because it might be easier for them because they draw 2 guys pretty much all the time. So it's easier for them, but Kemba is just such a bomb.
The last 2 games, Brown hasn't had an assist. In the Pistons and Wizards loss, he did.
Tatum's been close to triple doubles the last 2 games.
Tatum has. He's gotten better at it, but Brown has had 0 assists in the last 2 games, which I think needs to change.
You said Kemba is such a bum.
Kemba's terrible. I love Kemba, but he's just
He's love-hate relationship, Brian.
He is who he is. I knew this when they got him. He's never been an efficient shooter. The only reason he averaged 25 a game in Charlotte was because he took 50 shots a game because he was the only one who could shoot.
If I may,
that team.
I also think that a lot of the time, Kemba's jump shot, it's either 35 points or 35 points on like 12 or 15 shooting.
He tries to take double teams against 2 big men.
It's either 35 points on 12 or 15 shooting, or it's like 8 points on 3 of 15 shooting. Like it's either or with that guy.
Yeah, they're not a good shooting team. They get very cold because it's a lot of they love this one play where they have, especially when the 2 bigs are in, Thompson and Tice, they have Kemba at the top and they don't normally run this when Tatum's in because they don't want to waste Tatum. So they'll put like Shemi and let's say Brown in the both corners, and they do like a double screen at the top for Kemba where Kemba either gets a switch or it's like a screen and roll. But the entire time that's happening, the 2 guys in the corner just stand there the entire time. They do that a ton with Shemi. Carson does that a ton. Grant does that a lot. They just sit in the corner and wait for threes. They don't move anywhere. On offense, it's literally run to the corner, stand there until you get the ball.
And that's it. And I assume on that play, Kemba's got an option. dump to the corner, take it himself, Thompson or
Well,
Tice
he starts
for
on
three.
one side. It's a double screen across,
Yeah.
and then if there's
Does
no
Tice
switch
kick out in
there,
the 3-point territory, and then
Yeah,
Thompson,
there's no-
Thompson rolls?
Tice is like our best 3-point shooter. He comes to the top
Is
of
that
the arc and just
let me
splashes
understand this play?
everything.
There's a double screen, and then Thompson rolls. Kemba goes with it. Two guys in the corner, and Tice.
no,
kicks out in
no, it's a
3-point
double
territory?
screen. If they don't, the double screen is really useless because the double screen, anyone could go under it. Kemba really looks for if someone's going underneath both screens, he can just stop and shoot. Or if they're going over, I don't know what he does. But they come
Takes
off the
low.
double screens, and then he goes to the wing. And if nothing happens with the double screen, which 95% of the time nothing does happen, they just bring the closest big and do a pick and roll. That's it. That's the play that they run. And then Kemba either drives and kicks or
They should run that pick and roll more often, where Tice has a little moving screen.
That's what the
look
NBA
out
is.
his
It's
butt
just
in the
pick
middle
and
of the paint
rolls and
thing.
getting switches for
Tice's
mismatches. That's
seal
all
is
the NBA
amazing,
is.
but
They should do that play more
That's
often. That
the
works
one
when
Tice,
Tice
so
gets away with that little
try to
moving
do it
screen in
all
the
the time.
paint.
Yeah, but I don't want
I don't want
Tice shooting 12 threes a game. That's
Well, it's
not
an easy layup. No. The one where Tice does that thing in the paint where he holds off
it's the seal, the Tice
chase.
seal.
Oh, the seal.
yeah, that
Yeah.
moving screen thing.
Yeah, but they have to actually get open to get the ball. That's the other thing. Their turnovers have gotten
Oh,
like
they
really
just
sloppy.
their handle has
Really,
been- it's not
in the
even-
third
it's not
quarter
even
there was
passing.
Okay, let me attest the turnovers thing. Every team goes through that stretch of games where they just turn the ball over.
No, but with the
unimaginably.
combination,
Like, it happens to the Lakers. The Clippers went through a really bad stretch for like 3 weeks last year. The Heat was in the start of the year. Now they're playing really good, solid basketball. I mean, it happens with every. I don't know why
that can
turnovers,
happen,
but
right?
every
That
team,
can happen.
every team go. The Celtics probably went through it last year too. Every team goes to that stretch where they turn over like 15 times, 16, 17 times a game for like 5 games, and then they stop.
But that can happen, right?
They just go out. They just add it. It's usually when a guy gets injured, they get out of sync. The rotations are out of sync. The plays are out of sync. Guys are tired. It's on the end of a road trip. Like, it's a lot of stuff are.
And that can
put into
happen,
play.
but it can't happen with the combination of not getting back on defense and not playing defense in the first place, and not sharing the ball and getting assists and going one-on-one. Like, the combination of the turnovers and the really bad turnover. Like, there was a stretch in that third quarter where I think they had 5 straight possessions with a turnover, and some of them were bad. Like Tatum dribbling it up nonchalant at half court, getting back tapped, and then Kemba trying to do like an underhand shovel pass to Jaylen Brown, where Jaylen Brown had to try to get to it, and it was an offensive foul. Like, really bad, sloppy turnovers, combined with the fact that they're not getting back on defense and they're not sharing the ball. And it's getting very sticky and stagnant. That is a bad place that they're at right now, and they need to figure it out. Hopefully they can figure it out when Smart gets back.
Apt analysis, Luke.
Thank you. But yeah, that's all I have for the Celtics. Another quick thing rumored around the NBC Sports Boston area, so I don't know how realistic the rumors are. But they keep on mentioning Jeremy Grant as a trade target for the trade exception. And I talked to you about this today, Nick. I don't think it's very useful to go after someone. Jeremy Grant's good. He's having a really, really good season, but he's just another watered down Tatum. He doesn't play defense. He can score, but they don't need another one of those guys. They don't need another ISO scorer.
He's a good scorer, but he's not that good of an ISO scorer. He's really good in the pick and roll.
They need
He's
rebounding
really
and
good rebounder.
defense.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty good rebounder. He's pretty good in the pick. He's really good. He's really good in the pick and roll, but he's not gonna. He won't provide enough rebounding to help the Celtics win. And they already got Tatum, who's good in the pick and roll. Like, they don't. There's no need. He's just a Tatum that can't play defense and just a bit taller. I think. I don't even know how tall he is. Maybe I don't think he might be. I don't think he's taller than Tatum.
Either a
He's just
guard.
skinny. He gets bodied. He can't.
I don't know who that would be.
He has no post play. Tatum has post play. Grant's skinny. He's a twig. He can't.
He's a shooting guard.
He can't play in the post.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's a shooting guard, and Tatum's a 4. That makes sense.
Grant's not a shooting guard.
He kind of plays like a shooting guard.
No, but he's like
that guy
6'9". He plays the 4. He plays the 3 in Detroit, and he played the 4 in Denver when Millsap came out off the bench. And then he played the 3 against the Lakers in the playoffs because they couldn't compete with the Lakers' height, so he had to play the 3.
Yeah, I mean, he's fine, but he doesn't solve any problem that the Celtics are having. Like,
No, he
guys
doesn't.
just if you look at this guy's
Celtics
career,
don't need scoring, they need
before playing on a
defense.
bad team, he's only averages 12 points at best. So no, he's not the I don't know who it would be. They need either a guard.
Let's get to that level. That's on Yesh. This is all part of Yeshir Yield. Let's get to it later.
Yeah, we'll get to it later. But one person who I think they actually, I'm gonna read.
Hold on to that thought. Hold on to that thought. That's part of.
Is it about Drummond?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
It just hold on to it.
We'll eliminate Drummond, but I think the Celtics should go after him. But unfortunately, the trade exception is $500K short of his salary, so they would have to throw in someone else.
Whose salary?
Drummond.
Drummond, he's
that
making
much?
29.
Oh,
He's
not that good. He's the best worst player in the league.
He's not that.
He's not the best. What?
He's
the best.
He's
bad
not
player
that
in the
good.
league.
He's not good enough for his contract, but he's not bad enough for teams to want to pass on him. Like, he's in a terrible situation with his contract because he's a good player, but he's not $29 million worth. Like, regardless, it doesn't matter. Fine, we'll save that for Nick. One other thing that I saw today. This is the NFL. I saw a very interesting thing between Deshaun Watson and the Cowboys, saying that there could be a potential Deshaun Watson Dak Prescott swap as in a trade to get Deshaun Watson out.
Andrew showed me a stat the other day that Shefty was predicting 18 quarterbacks could be changing teams, which could be.
I wouldn't be surprised. Russ is gone.
Yeah.
Deshaun's gone.
Schefter took the. Schefter was on.
Gone.
I don't know. He might have been on NFL Network or something, but he said
probably.
that if you placed an over/under on the amount of quarterbacks switching teams, he'd say over. I get it wasn't 18, but it was like 9 transactions or something like that, or like
it was just 18 quarterbacks.
Oh,
whether
18
it was
quarterbacks.
whether it was free agency or trades.
Let's go
it was
through
he
it.
said he'd take the over, which is ridiculous.
Let's go through it. So it's already Stafford and Goff.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to go
Deshaun,
through it. It's 18
Wentz,
quarterbacks.
Jimmy G probably.
You could say
Darnold.
you could say Nick Foles if
Does Brees count?
if Carson Wentz goes to Chicago.
Does Brees count? Or would Brees leaving New Orleans count?
No.
That's a quarterback
retirement.
change.
Retirement
It is a
wouldn't
QB
count.
change.
Minshew.
Minshew.
Yeah.
He's gonna be out of a job.
Newton.
Yeah, Newton. Honestly, it's
Darnold
probably,
or Tua, depending what happens. With
Rivers.
Deshaun.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
retired.
Wait, did Rivers retire?
Yeah, he
Yes.
retired.
No,
Yep.
so that
So-
wouldn't. If we're counting Rivers and whoever's going on.
Honestly, it would just be
frickin-
easier to figure out who's actually gonna stay
Gonna
with their
stay
team.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
got
mean, you got
Rodgers, Brady. Oh, Bridgewater would probably switch teams. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bridgewater
Who?
get traded. Teddy
Oh.
Bridgewater. They go
He
out
has
and
1
draft
year
a
left on his
quarterback.
contract. They're going to
See.
draft a guy and play Bridgewater.
Mahomes, Josh Allen,
Herbert, Burrow,
Herbert,
Tua.
Burrow. Not
was
maybe
not
not
safe.
Tua.
Tua's not safe.
Who else?
Tua's not safe. Well, I thought I heard that they were going to
Kyler's
stick
safe.
with. I heard they were going to
Kyler
stick with Tua.
Murray,
Well, they could easily
Ryan
trade
Tannehill.
Deshaun.
Tannehill safe. Regardless, there's going to be a lot of quarterback movement. There's already been a ton of new coaches, head coaches in the NFL, so there's going to be a ton more quarterback swaps. So I don't know. Going back to the Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson thing, I don't really know what to think about it because I only saw it today, so I haven't really had a time to digest it. But I really
thumbs down.
thumbs
Yeah, I don't think
down.
that-
Thumbs down.
I think it's
I think it's
Good for
intriguing, and I
Dallas,
think it's
but-
very interesting.
I mean, it's good for Dallas, but if I'm Dak Prescott,
Well, if
well,
you're,
yeah, it sucks. It sucks for
yes,
Dak Prescott.
because you go to
I
a
really,
new team with don't have a running game, don't have an
I
offensive
honestly
line.
think that it works out for both teams because they're kind of the same. I would say Deshaun Watson is on a tier higher, but overall they're both very, very good young quarterbacks. So
Oh,
the Texans,
quarterbacks.
what?
Gotcha. I thought you
Yeah.
were saying the teams are the same, and I was like,
No. I'm saying
No.
the quarterbacks are the same.
You
Quarterbacks are very,
clarified
very
that.
similar.
Yeah.
And I think that the Cowboys get a uptick in quarterback, which I still feel so bad for Dak. He needs to get paid, but if he gets traded, who knows what's going to happen. But if you're the Cowboys, you get Deshaun Watson. He's under contract for a lot of years, and on I don't know what the deal is exactly, but it's a fine deal because it's just Deshaun freaking Watson. So you get Deshaun Watson, the better quarterback, and then the Texans they downgrade in quarterback, but who really knows if it's a
They probably get
downgrade
like a
because
first
Dak
rounder
was
or
having an
something.
MVP season before he went down, so who knows? He could even be better than Deshaun Watson, but right now I'll say he's a little bit less. So they get a slight downgrade in quarterback. I think they're also both around the same age
Would
too,
they
so
have
they're
to
both
re-sign
super
Dak
young.
too to trade him?
Yes.
They get drafted
well,
the same
Yeah,
year.
so he
Yeah.
would,
Well, you can't trade a guy that you don't have under
Yeah.
contract.
Okay. So they have to.
well, they could
re-sign
also
him to a
franchise.
contract.
They could franchise. Well, can you
If
trade
they
franchise
would
tag?
first off, if they were to franchise tag him, that would be stupid because then if he doesn't get franchise tagged and he hates it there, then he could just walk after 1 year.
Also, if they
So that would just be
franchise
dumb.
tag Dak, they're paying him as much as whoever the highest paid quarterback in the league is right now. Mahomes? Is it Mahomes?
Mahomes
Yeah.
would be getting what
Yeah.
50.
So they're
So
paying
basically,
Dak. So Dak be getting 50
yeah.
million a year
yeah,
for that
that's
1 year, and then Texans. So Houston have to absorb that $50 million. Which I mean, it's fine for Houston because they don't have Watt anymore, and they'd be getting they weren't paying Watson. Yeah. Were they paying Watson a considerable amount before?
Watson is like
4
a
for
40.
150.
Yeah,
Oh,
so he's
so-
almost a $40 million quarter a year
Okay, so
quarterback.
they just Houston could afford it, but if you
Yeah, Houston.
It's not ideal though.
Everyone,
paying $50
everyone
million a
wins.
year, and then he could walk easily after that. After
But in
next
my
year.
opinion, if Dallas does give Dak a good sized deal just to trade him, then I feel like everyone except for Deshaun, or not Deshaun, everyone except for Dak wins in the trade because then the Cowboys get the better quarterback. But then, as I was saying, the Texans they get a basically Deshaun Watson, but he is just a tick below. But he could also be Deshaun Watson and be an elite quarterback. Plus, he's super young, so you can have him for 10 to 12 years. You just have to make sure that he doesn't hate it there and also request a trade because that would also suck. But if Dak likes it there, I mean, they have to do, in my opinion, they have to really. This is a really important year, especially if they are going to go after Dak. If they go after Dak, then they have to make sure they make the right selections in the draft to make him happy and stay. And that's really all it comes down to. Because if you draft a bunch of, I say they go after offense, even if that isn't their primary focus, you go after offense, make Dak happy, make him want to stay. And then in the next coming years, you can build up your defense and continue to build that up. If you just start off drafting defense and no weapons for Dak, he's not going to want to like it there. And he's not going to want to be there. And he might request a trade. And then you're out two elite quarterbacks. So I think if they want to trade for him, they have to go offense heavy in this draft, which I think is fine too, because this draft has a lot of really good offensive weapons. And then you build up the defense after you know that Dak wants to be there for the long haul.
Yeah, and also I feel like because of Dak's injury, it's he's gonna be back. He's gonna be good, but I guess you can still count it as a question of whether he can really get back to his normal self.
Right.
But I don't see any reason why he can't. But like you said, Deshaun Watson is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. So you could
things.
also within that trade ask for a pick and use that
Yeah.
towards strengthening the offense. And then, like you said, I think that's a perfect idea of getting the offense like as catering Dak Prescott to what he needs and then building up the defense. That's going to make him want to stay. So I think that I don't know. I just always thought just from the beginning, it's weird. I just thought that he was really going to go to Miami just because I thought Houston would really be attracted to Miami just because they have their pick. They have a young quarterback, but and like a couple days ago I said that I heard that that Miami is committed to Tua, but I heard today that there could be talks about Dak still going to Miami. It's just a whole it's all just so up in the air right now.
Yeah,
There's no way. I
have
have no, and then there's talks about Houston just not even trading
him.
I don't know. It's just a mess.
I personally can't really see this trade happening. Obviously, it's a stretch, anyways.
It is.
Yeah,
but
it's just a
I feel like the
hypothetical.
fact
Yeah.
that Houston, they just released their all-pro defensive tackle J.J. Watt. Obviously now Watson's going to request a trade. They had a new change. They had a change in the head coaching position. It just seems like they're kind of entering this somewhat. They could use this Watson to their advantage. They could use Watson to enter a rebuilding mode, where they trade Watson, they get a ton of picks, and they just rebuild from there. Complete rebuild, because
just sad for them.
Frankly, I
D-Hop,
think
you had a top 5 quarterback. You
Yeah,
had
they
a
were up 24-0, about to go to the
defense.
AFC no, to the Super Bowl. Right?
No, AFC
No,
Championship. game.
AFC Championship because the
Tennessee or
Titans.
something.
Yeah. So AFC Championship, yeah.
Well, I think it would be really tough for Houston. It would be really tough for Houston, but it just makes more sense for me to go into a rebuild. Watson is going to be worth a lot. You don't swap him. You get his weight in gold, i.e., draft picks, and you just expand through the draft, and you enter a rebuilding stage, and hopefully you catch a couple of stars in the draft. Maybe they're going to have a high pick this year. Maybe end up winding up making this trip a free draft. Get a couple more picks for the upcoming year. Get a quarterback. They already have it.
I wouldn't bank on their draft skills considering they got.
That's what I'm. So
the
that's
Well,
why
I understand that, but you have a lot. They hired a new GM too. They hired a new G.
Yeah, Nick Caserio.
Yeah, but it's a new GM. You never know. I mean, I just
who did the drafting basically for the Patriots? That guy don't know what he's doing.
I think that everything is just setting up for them to trade Watson for a lot of draft picks. New GM, new head coach, trading your franchise quarterback.
I think that's why
releasing your best defensive player. I think this is all set up for them to rebuild, get guys to the draft and move on.
So rebuild, I think that in terms of their rebuild, if they really want to do that, then why not start with Dak Prescott? He's young enough, and he's proven that he's a really good quarterback in the NFL. They have to bank on getting a high draft pick and hope that one of the top quarterback recruits in whatever class that they decide to go all in on is going to be something, and then that takes a few years to develop him. I mean, unless he's like, I don't know, insane right out of college. But regardless, Dak Prescott is young enough where he still has probably at least a decade of good football left in him, and he's already proven himself. Like, look at teams like the Jets and I don't know. Well, the Jets are the or maybe even Miami, but Miami, they have Fitzpatrick, whatever. Teams that draft quarterbacks in like the early first rounds, that doesn't necessarily mean that quarterback's gonna be good. Look at Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen was a top 5 pick, and now I don't even know where he
was
is
10th.
right now.
I thought
10th. He was
10th, whatever. He was a top 10
pick.
pick.
The Cardinals. Now he's in the Bucks. I think he got a ring.
Whatever.
No, he got released from the Bucks. He got signed by
that's tough.
I don't even know who he got signed by.
Doesn't matter. I would rather take the safe bet and take Dak Prescott, who is maybe 3 or 4 years older than whoever.
No,
you're
I agree.
Draft,
I agree.
And who's still not still developing, has proven himself to be a good quarterback, than take a chance on a quarterback recruit or a college player who may or may not be what Dak is right now.
No, I agree. I fully agree with that. I think they will rebuild realistically. I think it's just set up for that. The stages they've gone through, new GM, new coach, getting rid of their defensive lineman, just seems like they're maybe, just setting up for a rebuild. That's what it seems like. What I think they should do, obviously, getting Dak, especially now that I think of it even more, and now you explain it more, and Andrew explained it, and Brian did some explaining. I think, getting Dak would make sense. He'd skip that whole process of trying to find a new quarterback.
He wouldn't resign.
Dak's already got Fuller. He's already got Cooks and Fuller at the receiver position. It's not, barf in your mouth discussing like the Patriots have. So I'll take that. I mean, the offensive line could use some work, but then they could just use their draft picks and get some defense. I totally get it. And maybe they can even get a first-round pick in there in that Dak Prescott trim. And get Prescott in the first rounder. They could use Prescott's injury history and the fact that maybe he's a tear down from Watson to their advantage, and to try and go get another first-round pick that Dallas has, still have a high pick this year. So they get Watson this year's pick, plus they get Dak Prescott this year's pick, and give the guy that wants to leave. So, they might end up having 2 top 15 picks, 2 top 10 picks. They might have 2. Oh wait, no, Houston's pick is in Miami, right?
Yeah.
So they'll have 1 top 10 pick. We'll get that pick back. They could probably draft, maybe get a defensive lineman, get a linebacker. There's a really good linebacker. There's probably a really good linebacker, defensive end or someone on the top 10 board right now.
Someone from Alabama.
There was that one guy at Penn State, Parsons, but then they found out about his crazy history, and now he's dropping in the draft because no one wants him because he's kind of a nut job. but there's got to be some defensive guy they can draft up there to bolster the defense, even the slightest bit. Use their second-round picks on defense. I mean, this could absolutely work. I totally agree with it. And the David Johnson's not the worst running back in the league. He had a great couple of years in Arizona. I'm just saying. I'd take David Johnson on the Patriots on a heartbeat. I'd take anyone on the Patriots.
I really wouldn't. I don't want that guy over any running back on our team. Literally not one of them.
Well, you wouldn't, but I would. Different.
He's not that good. He's not that good.
He's fine.
His stats aren't good.
He's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine. He's fine. He's a fine running back. They have somewhat of a run game, an average run game at best. I just, this could work. It could work if they get Dak, but you got to do some serious convincing, and you got to hope that Jerry Jones is, thinking, I don't really want to pay Dak anyways. This might be a win-win.
Yeah. Long story short, you just have to make Dak want to stay there. That's basically what it is. That's the only drawback of trading for him is if you trade for him, will he want to stay? And I don't know the answer to that question because Houston is looking like one of the worst destinations possible for an NFL player right now. So I don't know. It's going to be tough. So Nick, what do you got for us?
Yeah, it's right, boys. It's time for another segment. It's been a little while since we've done Yeesh or Yield, presented by nobody.
Did you put the glasses on specifically for it?
No, I had them on our own podcast too.
Oh, you did? I guess I wasn't.
Put them on, I guess, for the show.
All right, go ahead.
Maybe. But anyways, if you know somebody that would love to be a sponsor for Yeesh or Yield or a podcast, just let us know, please. Please, we're begging you. All right, number one, what order are we going to go in? Andrew, Brian, Luke. That's the way I see it on my panel here in Zoom.
Sure.
So we'll start with that. Q start. We're going to do some basketball. Then we're going to go down to college hoops. Then we're going to go back up to the pro hoops. Does that sound good? Andrew, number one, Yeesh or Yield. AD went down with some kind of calf injury the other night. He'll be out 2 to 3 weeks, be reevaluated. Is LA in trouble?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeesh.
I mean, even though LeBron, they're still pretty good with just LeBron on the court. But I mean, when you're playing teams like, especially the Jazz, when you got somebody like Rudy Gobert,
they play the Jazz in this 9-game stretch.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's going to be a huge loss. I mean, who knows? Anthony Davis says he's a little fragile this year, so who knows
he's soft.
Who knows
soft
if
as a cookie.
Yeah, so who knows if the 2 to 3 weeks is actually yeah, who knows if the 2 to 3 weeks is it for AD? I mean, it could be more just because it's AD. I don't know. He seems kind of my knee hurts. I must rest.
You would know better than me, Nick, maybe. I don't know. How many times did he go down crying in the finals, rolling around like he got shot? At least 3.
Time and a half.
At least 3, and then he'd be back after the timeout.
Exactly.
He just rolls an ankle.
I think he does not play the rest of this regular season. I think you should just wait to the playoffs because your seed does not matter one bit. You're going to make the playoffs. You should just wait to the playoffs.
Boy, you lost your mind?
You know what? If he goes and plays one more game, he will tear his Achilles, and then he'll be out for 2 seasons. I think you should wait to the playoffs. You're going to make the playoffs. Who cares what seed you have? Because you'll probably just do well anyways.
I'm just going to forget Brian even uttered that blasphemy because
I've seen that all over today.
He said sit for the rest of the regular season. Luke?
I've seen that all over today.
Shut up, Brian.
I'm going to say I'm not going to overreact. If he comes back then that I think they'll be fine. I think the timetable is just after the All-Star break, which should be enough time.
He'll be reevaluated to begin the All-Star break.
Okay, so if they say that he's fine, it's fine. If he's not, however, then I might start to panic a little bit because I realistically, like Brian said, the seed doesn't matter. I really also don't. I also agree that the seed doesn't matter, only for the simple fact that
the easiest part of their schedule, by the way, I'm going to have to add that in. They've already played the easiest part of their schedule.
Yeah, but I also don't think their seed matters because if they don't have a AD, they're not going to win the finals. They can't beat Denver or the Utah or any of those teams. So again, I agree with Brian. So, but if it's just for this 9-game stretch, I think they're all right because they have Minnesota tomorrow. And then they play teams like Washington,
also, 21-7. You can afford a 5-4. You're going to be fine.
They'll go.
Nobody's catching Utah because Utah's going to win like 60 games.
I see 6 wins in these last 9, maybe 7 if they can pull one off against Brooklyn, Phoenix, or Utah. But the other games should be wins. With Washington, Trailblazers, Kings, Warriors, Heat, and Timberwolves, I think they'll win those games, and then maybe one out of the Heat, one out of the Nets, Jazz, Suns. So if it's just for this 9-game stretch, I think they'll be fine.
I don't think they have anything to worry about. They're 21-7 this year. He's going to be out for 9 games. Now, in the 9-game stretch, they do play Brooklyn, Utah, Portland, Golden State, Phoenix. Those are the notable games. They do play Miami. Miami's
terrible.
They got Minnesota, Washington in there. That might be a little of a that might be a tester. In Sacramento, Sacramento always plays LA good. It's weird. But you know what? It's 9 games. If they go 0-9, they're still going to be a top 5 seed in the Western Conference. Even if they go 0-9, it'll be 21-16.
That's the point. Then he shouldn't play the rest of the regular season.
No, he's going to play. He's going to play at some point in the regular season because
So
now
he tears his Achilles and miss 2 seasons.
Oh my God, Dr. Brian O'Donnell for you, folks.
I seriously don't
He's
think
not going to tear his Achilles. He's going to be fine. Close. They're going to reevaluate him. He probably won't play any back-to-backs. That's what he'll do for the rest of the regular season. He'll do a lot of low management. We'll just put down the Achilles again every single time. He won't play any back-to-backs. They'll manage that. Mints will be down, but he'll play. They need that defensively. He needs to get Vogel. No preseason. Vogel's still this jackass doesn't even figure out the rotations yet. They need AD in there. They need him. They need just to figure out the first half rotations, then take him out. But I don't think they're in much trouble. 9 games. It's 9 games. 9 games. That's it. I don't think they have anything to worry about.
Reevaluate means that he's not going to come right back right away. Reevaluate means okay, probably another 2 or 3 weeks. That's usually what reevaluate means.
Moving on to college basketball.
So he'll probably miss a month or 2.
Okay, great. Moving on.
No one cares. Is there come on. Gonzaga's unreal right now. Is there a team in the tournament, Andrew Keene, that is any equipped to beat him at all, ever?
So regular season, definitely not. In the tournament, I would say maybe Baylor, maybe probably not Michigan. But you also have to consider that March Madness, anything could happen. It's only 1 game.
Right.
And then you got to also take in the circumstances right now. You're playing in a pandemic. Anything can happen.
Right.
So, but if they are healthy throughout and they are able to play the way that they're playing throughout the rest of the year, I say maybe Baylor, but it's going to be super tough. This team is ridiculous.
Brian, what do you got for us?
Baylor would be in the championship game. Michigan would be in the Final Four.
Right.
The 2 seed they would play would be the worst 2 seed.
So that would be the
Michigan.
8.
No, Michigan would be the other one.
That would be the 8 seed right now.
So that's what, like Ohio State could even be 1. Who's like
Ohio State's like 4 right now.
Yeah, they're 4, so they could be the other 1 seed. But I doubt 2 Big Ten teams are going to be
they'll drop down to a 2 just because.
So
of
the worst 2 seed is going to be what, Villanova maybe, probably at the end of because they'll win the Big East.
Right.
So they'll have some tough games. They'll have
every game March Madness is tough. They're playing the best teams.
Every game's their run
every
to the
game is sweet. Every game past Sweet 16.
The run to the Elite 8 should be pretty easy because they got all the worst.
Once you start playing the actual ranked teams in the country, they still pass the Sweet 16.
No, nobody can beat them. No.
Wise words.
My turn? Okay. I agree. Well, they're not losing a single regular season game because their conference is terrible, so they're going to steamroll through that. And then March Madness, it's really hard to predict because anyone can beat anyone, really. The team of all teams in Duke last year or 2 years ago now. Wow, 2 years ago. Jeez, with Zion, RJ, and Cam Reddish, they lost in the Elite 8. That team
should have lost to
Taco. Way. They should have lost to Taco in the round of 32,
Yeah,
but they didn't.
RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett sucks.
So anything can happen, but the team that's most equipped
to this day.
I honestly think it's Baylor, and not just because they are also undefeated and are 17-0 and the 2 seed, or not the 2 seed, or not, they are a 1 seed. ranked second in the country. It's because Gonzaga puts up a ridiculous amount of points every game, and Baylor is one of the best defensive teams in the league. They had two all defensive players last year from the Big Ten, and both of them were guards. And Gonzaga is really good at shooting the three with Timmy Kispert and Suggs. They just chuck threes and make them all the time because their percentages are ridiculous. So to have two all defensive players from the Big 12, which is a pretty good conference, and they're both guards, I think that really helps. And then Jared Butler is just amazing this year. He's 17 and 5 assists with 3 boards as a guard, which is pretty good. But it's really their defense. I think their defense is the best equipped to slow down Gonzaga, especially when it comes to tournament time, when Gonzaga is going to rely on the three a lot. So I think I think it would be a good game. I don't really know that much to say who I think would win if they were to meet. But I think that Baylor, out of all the other teams, are the best equipped to beat them.
I don't think there's a team equipped to beat Gonzaga in a perfect world, but it's not a perfect world. And Gonzaga is a three-point shooting team. And what they do best, they shoot threes and they control the glass. And those are two great things to have. You can control the glass and you can shoot threes a lot. You can a lot of times get second chance points, which is what Gonzaga does a ton. I think if Gonzaga gets far, Gonzaga will get far enough in the bracket, well, they will play a team. And what happens with three-point shooting teams is every time they're gonna catch some point, some game, they're gonna catch a cold spell. And what better place to do it in March Madness? And I think if they can catch a team on the wrong night, and they cannot find a way to control the glass, I think it's dangerous. I think that would be a dangerous combination for Gonzaga, not being able to control the glass and not being able to hit threes. So I don't think there's a team in a perfect world equipped to beat Gonzaga, but I think there's a very good chance Gonzaga could lose at some point before even reaching the Final Four if they catch the right team on the wrong night and can't figure out how to control the glass. I think that's a very bad combination to have, especially in March Madness.
I even think Gonzaga has to play their best to win. They're just ridiculous.
Right. Now that
to get to the Final Four, they don't have to play their best.
No, they don't. They don't. Which is insane. That's how good they are. All right, back to the NBA, and this is a topic that might take about an hour because it's about the Boston Celtics. And you three love to talk Celtics basketball, which is fine. It's a sports podcast. But who cares? Because you know what? The Celtics have a $28.5 million trade exception. Andrew Kane, who should they use that trade exception on to help make a turnaround from their disgusting 13-13 record?
We were talking about this earlier.
And I paused it mid conversation for this.
Yeah,
reason.
I still think they should go after Andre Drummond. They need rebounds so bad. I mean, also their interior defense kind of sucks. I would say, yeah, I would probably go with Drummond just because of his rebounding ability. Tice is just too short, and Tristan Thompson just flat out sucks. So I'll go with Andre Drummond.
Let's hear it. GM Brian O'Donnell, what do you got for us?
Drummond would be the last person I want because I think he makes them worse because he doesn't help the way they play basketball because he can't run, he can't shoot, and he only plays down low. He's the best bad player in the league. I think they need a big man who can do the things I just said, and that's
Blake Griffin.
Nikola Vucevic.
Oh.
Averages 24 points, gets 12 rebounds a game, 4 assists, can shoot the three, can shoot the mid-range, plays down low.
Does he fit their exception?
Probably.
His contract? Or do they have to give up?
Imagine it's more than Drummond.
They have to give up a lot to get him.
I don't know. I don't think it'd be that much. And yeah, I think he's the kind of guy they need because Drummond's overpaid and literally the best bad player in the league. I don't think he's that good.
Hey, Luke. Vucevic is, by the way, making $25 million a year.
Okay,
So
yeah,
he does fit into that. It's so hard
for $100 million.
It's so hard to figure out because there are not really a lot of players.
You have to find teams so Orlando fits that, Cleveland fits that.
So I can tell you some guys I don't want are Aaron Gordon. I don't want that to be wasted, and I also don't want JJ Redick. Not that those guys aren't good players. It's just not. Well, those are two names that have been
Orlando
thrown
would
around.
ask for Kemba.
Well,
Okay.
There was, but the whole JJ Redick thing, Danny Ainge said no. Like,
Yeah, he
that
said
was. There were talks about it, but it was never actually gonna happen.
So that's settling because I
I don't think they
want...
would ask for Kemba. Actually, they don't need a guard.
Yeah, they do. They
No,
don't have
they
a point
don't.
guard.
Markel Fultz.
Anyways,
Just a broken shoulder.
and then
I
the
don't think they're
more
gonna-
recent one, I mean, it's really only been
And
talked
Cole
about
Anthony.
Yeah, they have Cole Anthony.
They just
too.
drafted him. They're not going to want
Sideways.
Kemba.
Cole Anthony
They-
and Markel
a team
Fultz,
like-
backcourt of the
a team-
century.
a team like that wants to develop. They're not trying to get Kemba in there to take minutes away from their guys they're trying to develop. That's pointless.
The whole
Yeah.
point of getting
So-
rid of Vucevic.
I think
Exactly.
I know Brian doesn't, but I like Drummond. I feel like he would be what they need. They need a defensive presence in the paint and someone who can rebound the ball. Like he's a 15 and 15 guy. I think that would work really well. Spacing would be somewhat of an issue, but I think that's the only thing. But I also keep seeing this thing that they can't trade for him. He's only $500,000 over their trade exception. So then everyone keeps saying that they'd have to move Smart, which I still don't understand why they would have to move that big of a contract just to fit $500,000 in the trade exception. I don't understand that. But if that's true, then that's off the table. I'm not trading Smart and the exception, plus they'd have to throw in a pick, plus like Langford or one of the young guys. That's not going to happen. I wouldn't do that. But if Smart can be kept, I would look into it. And then another guy who has been thrown around really only by Scal, who we know is awesome and super reliable. Nat, no offense, Scal, but he also on NBC Sports Boston has continued to say that he would like Jeremy Grant, and I already touched on this a little bit, but I don't think he would work. He's just another wing that they really don't need. They need either a wing who can defend, which isn't Jeremy Grant, or a defensive oriented center who can not only block shots, but stand his own against Joel Embiid.
I think Boston should absolutely make a move for Andre Drummond. He actually fits their need of rebounding and interior defense, which is huge. He's a great offensive rebound, probably probably the best offensive rebounder in the NBA right now, which is something the Celtics direly need because they can't. The amount of threes they take, that controlling the offensive glass. And I said 10 minutes ago with Gonzaga, controlling the offensive glass, being able to shoot threes is a very big, very, very powerful combination there. So I think Drummond absolutely is a necessity for the Boston Celtics. They can, if they have to, they shouldn't have to move Smart, but if they have to move Smart, I think they should because it'll all work out in the end.
No, see, I don't think so.
Oh, you're crazy. We just already had this conversation. If Smart was here, the Celtics would not have been 5-10 in the last 15 games.
I don't care. I think they need Andre Drummond. They should do whatever they can to get him. Move that trade exception. I know Cleveland. It'd be a shame to move Smart. They probably won't even need to. They might only have to give up.
I still understand.
I don't know I don't know why Smart, but they could probably try and get somebody else.
To match money,
I hear Cleveland's only asking for about a first round pick for Andre Drummond. Like they're not asking for a ton. So if Boston could, instead of giving away Smart, maybe give away one of their bunch of first round picks and a second rounder plus a trade exception, and then give if they really need to throw in like I don't know one of those little guys or a guy that doesn't play much. Like I don't know if you guys know names better than I do.
That's why I don't understand it. Why they can't
they could get Drummond for they don't have to give away. They might not have to give away either of them for Drummond.
Would they really want to have a fourth center on that team?
No.
Yeah, but they only really have two. They only really have zero centers because the centers don't do anything for the Celtics.
Okay, so does Tristan Thompson with Andre Drummond? So let's just say Andre Drummond is on the Celtics. Does Tristan Thompson bring any value to that team?
No, he doesn't bring any value to the team right now either.
Exactly,
he's not a good player.
He barely. He gets what 8 rebounds a game.
Yeah, but he's
okay.
So he.
But the offensive glass, the defensive rebound, those come. That happens. All guys get defensive rebounds. You care about the offensive rebound numbers. Drummond provides many a lot of second chance points. You're gonna get from Andre Drummond. He's really good. He's really good at getting in front on boxing out. I noticed every time I see the Cavs play, he's always there. with the inside position on the box out. Everything. He's just so good offensively on the offense, crashing the boards every time. I mean, that really helps.
Should have kept Enes Kanter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Greg, this is the last guy I want. What's his how much longer does he have on his deal?
Do you want to win now?
No,
or,
this is last
like,
year. Actually, this is actually his last year.
No, what the frick? Absolutely not.
This is
okay,
last
so
year.
Here's the thing. If you're Boston, do you need to win? So would you be fine with the Celtics throwing the towel in this year, getting
You're not
knocked
throwing the
out
towel in
first
this
round,
year.
maybe winning and probably
They're
getting knocked
still
out
the
first
4
round.
seed. They're not throwing in the towel.
They can't win the finals.
Does Andre Drummond make
They can't
them,
win the finals. They can't rebound.
I wouldn't say that's their biggest issue. I would say
That's
that's
why they
nowhere
lost
near
last
their
year.
biggest issue.
That's
They
why
didn't
they
lose
lost
last
last
year because
year.
they couldn't rebound.
They lost last year because they couldn't rebound. They couldn't defend inside. That's why Bam Adebayo went ape.
Yeah.
That's the
I don't
reason.
think
'cause
Drummond solves that, though. I just don't.
Drummond absolutely solves that, Brian. What are you
No,
talking
he
about?
doesn't, because he does not
What
fit
do
how the
you-
Celtics
what-
play basketball. He doesn't. He'll ruin the offense. That's not how they play basketball. There's a reason why they've
Who
never had a center like
cares?
that.
You got to be able to defend first. Defense wins championships.
That's why Tristan Thompson, he can still play defense.
Ah,
He can.
Not against Embiid. He's not
Nobody can
equipped
play
for
defense
that.
against Embiid.
Come on, Brian. You're silly.
Nobody can play defense against Embiid. I don't care. I'll live and die with Embiid scoring 45 points if you can lock up the rest of the team.
You're
That's how I've always
silly.
thought they should do it.
You're silly.
You can let
Brian,
the big
you're
guy go
being
for
a
45.
buffoon right now.
Brian, you're
Andre
silly.
Drummond doesn't solve any
You're going
problem
off the
for
rails like a
Celtics.
crazy
Not
train.
one. Not one. He doesn't. He
Really
really doesn't. He doesn't.
I think he's fine. I think he'd be fine. It's just I don't know how it will work. 'Cause
Brian doesn't want Drummond. I mean, it's
No Celtics fans should
logically
want
you get Drummond, but Brian doesn't want him. I don't know why. He just doesn't want Drummond.
No.
I don't know.
But like
Uh,
anybody
What
that
a
could
problem
go up and get the ball after it has been shot and missed.
Yeah, like Torian
to
Prince
Listen
said.
to your Celtics friends, Brian. They know what's good.
I just
okay,
think
we
he's
can-
not. He's. I've always thought of this guy as the best bad basketball player in the league. He's just not that good. He's a good
best
player, but he's the
bad-
best bad player in the league. Out of the bad categories, he's at the top of the list.
Oh, okay.
Resign Bill Russell.
Well, we'll end it there. Well, final thoughts? Anyone?
Go Pats!
Go Pats.
I don't know. I ain't got nothing.
Too
Andrew's
sleepy.
tired.
Yeah. Good night.
And Brian, hashtag no
I hate Andre Drummond.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. Go follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the
Why
Big Four
would you-
_
Vucevic is signed for another 3 years. And he basically does the same thing and can shoot.
Yeah, but whatever.
He's
We're done
soft.
with it. We're
he
done
gets
with
one less offensive rebound a game. He gets 3 less overall rebounds a game, and he averages 24. And he is
Why
under
don't
contract for
why
2 more
don't the
years?
Celtics
He's
just trade
soft.
for Embiid, LeBron, and Curry?
Because Brian doesn't want them on this team.
We'll just
so-
solve
so
all of the problems.
Brian doesn't
Yeah.
want
Just saying, this guy, like,
LeBron
kinda
and beating
does it
Curry on the
all.
Celtics, so that means Boston can't trade for him because Brian doesn't want him.
Yeah,
That's how that works.
Just saying.
yeah. Brad has Brian on speed dial.
Brian's got freaking Danny
Vucevic
Ainge
spreads
on.
the floor. What do you
untapped.
think? Do you not like Vucevic?
No, I
do.
like him. He's just he reminds me more of I don't know who he really reminds me of. He reminds me a lot of Jokic in terms of he can't really except he can't really pass a lot. It's just the interior defense that
Yeah.
is killing
Also,
me.
you have to get the
Nobody
Magic
can
to
guard
agree to
Embiid. I
trade
don't
him.
care
Like, you
about
can't just
guarding
like.
It's not even about
We're gonna
Embiid.
sweep
Like
the Sixers no matter what. Who freaking cares? Come on.
I don't know.
You
They're
guys-
good this
the
year.
Boston
They're a good
Celtics-
team this year.
Celtics also need to make. You also have to make sure that the Magic want to trade Vucevic in the first place.
I don't understand
You
why
can't
they
just
wouldn't.
say his name and then magically get him to
He's
come
on
your
the
team.
list. He's on the list of guys who would be traded.
Yeah.
I
You
wouldn't.
can't just, like-
So I
you
wouldn't.
can't
I
just
wouldn't
say
dislike
Vucevic
it.
and
I
he'll
would
be
be
on the
fine
Celtics
with
in no
it.
time. Like, it doesn't
Yeah,
work
I'd
like
be
that.
fine with Vucevic.
I wouldn't.
just
I
throwing-
wouldn't dislike it, but I would like Drummond just a little bit more, just because of needs. But it doesn't
Also,
matter.
the-
We're
the
finished.
Cleveland's avidly trying to get rid of him now. So.
We're finished. We're finished. Thank you guys for listening. Go follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Big Four _ podcast. See you on Thursday.